Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to this evening Manchester United transfer news, takeover news and general football news roundup. I do apologise I'm not live this evening, but I am out. Daily live streams will return at 6:30 every evening after the international break, but we're going to get into takeover announcement. Could there be a big takeover announcement today? New things coming out with the takeover that's particularly interesting. We will talk about Everton, City and Chelsea all potentially getting a points deduction. Everton's 10 points deduction was announced today, so they get a nice bounce ahead of the Man United game at the weekend, but Man City could be getting relegation. We've got more news and leaks about what is going on inside the United dressing room, and then we do have transfer news about Anthony leaving, Frimpong coming in and more. So please do hit that like button if you haven't already, and of course subscribe down below if you're new. So let's get into the first story. It's said by Sky Sports, breaking: Sergio Ratcliffe's Ineos could announce a deal to buy their 25% stake of Manchester United today. There could be a big takeover announcement today. Let's wait and see. I do think, I'm recording this at 3 o'clock, but this video probably got at 7 o'clock. I do think that a lot of the news regarding the takeover and when it's going to be announced is guesswork. I think everyone knows it'll be announced in the next week or so, but I don't think many people know the day. But Mark Kleiman of Sky said this: exclusive, Sergio Ratcliffe's swoop for a 25% stake in United could be announced in the early part of next week, is what he's saying, and it will be priced at $33 per share or thereabouts, representing more than a 75% premium on yesterday's New York Stock Exchange closing share price. So $33 a share. So the United Muppeteers explained that, put that into context, and basically said what it means. He said, important that this indicates how the 25% will be purchased, seemingly an equal, a proportional offer based on this. 25% of Class A and 25% of Class B. Math is boring, but all of the scenarios for a 25% purchase, this breakdown gives Sergio and Ineos the most shares, they're saying. So they're saying individually they would be far and away the largest shareholder, and the same deal, same purchase at any point in further would make the majority shareholder. So essentially what they're saying is they've got 25% of the club, the next purchase would be 50% of the club, which would then make them the majority shareholder ahead of the Glazers. They said, simply put, based on news put out by Kleiman, it indicates the best case scenario for 25% stake in terms of a share breakdown is exactly halfway to majority control, with Sergio Ratcliffe taking 25% of the voting rights. So they're saying he is halfway to majority of control now, or when it gets announced, and then he'll do another half to probably get majority control in the near future, breaking it down. And there could be an announcement on that today. A lot of people saying probably next week, though. But I want it to be announced sooner rather than later. And the reason for that is because once it's announced, there'll still need to be a 6-week adjustment period, Premier League owners test, before he can do anything. And I want it to be announced now, so at least we've got some time in the January transfer window to make things happen. Now, talking of things happening, I do want to get into some dressing room news. I do want to get into some other stories about United. But Everton is Manchester United's next opponent, and they'll now be second bottom in the Premier League with 4 points after being deducted 10 points for a breach of profit and sustainability rules. Now, you've got to remember, Everton have one FFP breach, 10 points. However, it's more of a major one. Man City have 115 charges. I think this could be a big warning to Man City. And the Mail actually came out today and said that Chelsea and Man City look set to face relegation from the Premier League after Everton's 10-point deduction if they're found guilty of breaking FFP rules. Now, I'm not saying that Man City are guilty, but I'm just saying how such a small club that can't fill their stadium, that had such a small fan base, could generate so much money so quickly, and how a lot of their sponsors don't add up. It's particularly suspicious, and why they throw in thousands of lawyers at it if they had nothing to hide. I don't know. But I think, this is an example. Everton have got a major punishment. I think this will put more and more pressure on the likes of City and Chelsea to be punished, because Everton are now being punished before Man City. And Man City have been doing this for ages and pumping money and lawyers at it and threatening legal action to essentially get away with cheating, because let's be honest, football's corrupt. The World Cup's gone to Saudi Arabia because Australia mysteriously pulled out. We're not stupid. Money talks in this game, and it's unfortunate. The Super League, money talks. That is the big problem with football. And hopefully Man City will get some kind of deduction or something, because let's be honest, we all know that they've at least one of those charges they've broken. Maybe not all 115, maybe there's a few they haven't done. But if Everton are getting a 10 points deduction, it's got to be relegation for City. It was also mentioned by Nick Harris that when City announced 8xBet as a commercial partner in July 2022, just out of interest, a LinkedIn profile for one of 8xBet's co-founders, a woman supposedly called Chun Chu Chung, sorry if I said that wrong, had this image on her LinkedIn profile, which was a stock image that you can buy. When you buy like a a photo frame and there's a picture of a woman in there that's just a random woman, she'll be that random woman in there. She's just a stock image you can buy, and it's like it looks like they're companies that's giving them loads of money, their commercial partners, their sponsorship partners that are giving them loads and loads of money, don't have real images to represent their employees on LinkedIn, which I think is particularly suspicious. So, that's a little bit of talk on Man City, but we don't want to talk about small clubs in Manchester. We want to talk about the big clubs in Manchester that don't cheat. And this is something else that Rob Dawson said, continue on from the report I mentioned earlier today. He said Harry Maguire has emerged as a player Erik ten Hag can trust. According to a Man United source, there were concerns over the commitment of some of the squad members during the difficult start to the season, and ten Hag looked to pick fighters to get out of the situation. Now, I actually said this in one of my match reactions. I said, when ten Hag picks his lineup, it's almost like he's picking the lineup to win that match, to fight. He's picking players he can trust to give 100% to win the match, to follow the instructions, all of that. I said a lot of these players aren't ten Hag players or won't be able to play the way that ten Hag wants to play. I said ten Hag, and this was my biggest criticism of him, as he's taking it match by match. His job's on the line. He's taking it back match by match, result by result, rather than trying to implement a long-term plan, a long-term style. It's like, I'm going to play the players to win this match. I'm going to play the players to win the next match, rather than the project of how we're going to be as a team in the long term. And I think McGuire, McTominay, even recently Garnacho, Bruno Fernandes, they're all, Johnny Evans even, they're all players that the manager feels like he can trust, and they're committed and they're fighters. And I think that is something he's doing, because you look at why Amrabat and Mount aren't playing, and maybe he doesn't trust them yet. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't. It was also said after the victory against Fulham, Erik ten Hag had praised the fighting spirit of his players in the locker room. Johnny Evans, Scott McTominay and Garnacho were given a special mention, as was McGuire, who played despite looking set to go out twice. And I have to say, Garnacho, McTominay and Evans put in a lot of effort, so did McGuire. And you can see that, a lot of the last 2 games that Man United have played, even when we got results, I look at our bench, and I think the players on our bench are better quality than the players starting. But remember, in pre-season, our B team did a lot better than our A team in pre-season. And I think that's because the B team and some of the lesser players seem to put more effort in and give a crap more. And I think some of the bigger players aren't maybe potentially pulling their weight, or are getting on a bit, or something's not working. And I think Erik ten Hag was just going with players that he thinks got the right sort of mentality and attitude, and they're going to play for him. It was also said, there's a lot of rumours and speculation on Varane and ten Hag having a fallout, but the Athletic confirmed that's not the case. That's speculation. The relationship is good between Varane and ten Hag. Varane doesn't have a problem with ten Hag, but it was said a source close to Varane insisted that nothing's been decided for his future, but he does want to play regularly. Varane's obviously out the team because Maguire's in ahead of him, and ten Hag doesn't like to partner Maguire and Varane together. It's all about passing out from the back angles. Ten Hag sees Martinez and Varane as a partnership, and Evans and Maguire as a partnership. He doesn't really see Maguire and Varane as a partnership, and because Maguire's in better form, is he though? I think Varane was brilliant before his injury, to be honest, probably one of our best players. Maguire's now playing ahead of Rafael Varane, so Varane's not getting the minutes he wants, but Varane's a top professional. He understands, he's not bothered, and if he continues not to get minutes, he will probably then leave in the summer. Now, talking about players leaving in the summer, a player that Manchester United and reportedly Ratcliffe is open to sell in January is Anthony. It was said by the People's Person that Manchester United are open to the sale of Anthony in the January transfer window. It said, as reported by Spanish media, Fichas, United are now willing to listen to offers for the player they signed last summer. There's also been a lot of other outlets saying that United are interested in selling Sancho, Anthony and Anthony Martial, and completely revamping their front line, which has 2 goals combined in about 13 Premier League games. It is not good enough. And to be honest, I'm open to selling Anthony. I'd rather Pellistri and Ahmad get the minutes. I know Anthony's a system player, and I think if we were playing the right system and we'd actually signed Anthony and had the players around him, he'd be a lot better. But at Man United, you can't just be a system player. You've got to perform even when the system isn't there. Now, talking of a player we almost signed and a player that's doing very well, Jeremy Frimpong of Bayer Leverkusen. Frimpong said that he'd already said goodbye to Bayer Leverkusen before failed United moved. Now, ten Hag really wanted this guy in January. Ten Hag was pushing for this guy in January. He was told he wasn't allowed to buy anyone in January, and then Wan-Bissaka started playing well. And because Wan-Bissaka was playing well and Delo was playing all right, Manchester United were like, okay, we want a right back, but that's like 5th on our list. We've got 4 other priorities. And right back is something that will be on our list ahead of next summer, but I still think bringing in a centre-back and bringing in another striker and another right winger if Anthony goes is a bigger priority. But Man United were a massive fan of Frimpong, ten Hag was, but I think it was that Wan-Bissaka was good, he couldn't get in the team. But it was said, according to Bill journalist Axel Hesse via Sport Witness, Frimpong and his representatives were extremely confident of getting moved to a top European club, with Barca and Man United being mentioned as 2 clubs that had a strong interest in the Dutch defender. So confident Frimpong of a transfer, he pretty much already said goodbye to Bayer Leverkusen. And that was the expectation. It was pretty much said Frimpong to United's essentially done. Bayer Leverkusen have brought in their replacement. United have had all these sorts of Frimpong. Frimpong had told United he wanted to go. United told Frimpong they wanted him, they'll buy him in the summer. Wan-Bissaka got better. United had to look at where they were going to spend their budget, and they kind of left Frimpong there. But Frimpong to United was a deal that was reportedly really, really close, and it was a deal that was expected to happen. I remember in January saying, "Oh, keep an eye on this one. Ten Hag wants in, the player wants to come. They've brought a replacement. He's up for sale." I think that Frimpong's going to happen, but it ultimately did not happen. Anyway, guys, that is the transfer news, takeover news, and general Man United news roundup. Let me know your thoughts on all the news and if Man City should get relegated from the Premier League as punishment. Please do hit that like button, subscribe if you're new. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.